All Out with Rico and Kayla is about All Out with Rico and Kayla is about to go live online. Catch All Out monster hit music, All Out celebrity interviews, All Out showbiz and sports news, All Out fun, an exclusive on the Monster. Catch the stream on the Monster Facebook page at RX931, the Monster YouTube channel at RX931, and twitch.tv/Monster RX931. Your All Out hosts, Rico Robles and Kayla Rivera. Stand by and enjoy the program.
All right, for all you fans, monsters, how you guys doing? I gotta suit up a little bit, gotta just a little extra because you know why? We got somebody who's been making music. Well, since she was 13. I don't know if she's gonna share that. She's probably gonna be shy about it, but she's making a lot of hits. Joining us live here, well, all the way in Canada. And the beauty of technology is we're gonna, somehow get inside where she's at and get to know what's up with her. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alessia Cara. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Great, great, great. Where are you joining us from right now?
I'm joining you from my home in Toronto, Ontario. I wish I was there with you guys right now, but like you said, magic of technology. We get to talk anyway, which is nice.
So it's like, is it super cold where you're at right now?
It's getting pretty cold. It's getting there. Last week wasn't too bad, and then it started. I went outside yesterday, and I was like, "Uh-oh!" I can feel you know how I know my first hot coffee of the year is when I know the winter is coming. So I was like, I can't do an iced coffee today. I have to do it hot. And it's like my Groundhog Day.
Here in the Philippines, we do love cold coffee. You know what I mean? Hot coffee wise, well. But for you, I mean, it's been quite a journey. Now, of course, for sure, you got something new, you got something fresh. So what's that new or something fresh that you've been cooking up for us?
I have a lot of new stuff that I've been cooking up. The newest song is a song called "Isn't It Obvious?" And I'm like so excited about it. It's like my favorite song I've ever made. And the album "Love and Hyperbole" will be out on February 14th, Valentine's Day. So I've been cooking it up for a while, like 3 years, which is like the longest I've worked on a project.
When it comes to like working on the project and especially that sitting for 3 years, I mean, was there ever a time that you were itching to release it when you hear a good song on the radio or when you hear a good song in the club? You're like, oh, I got a better song than that. I can't wait for my song to kill it when I drop it. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I feel like with this album, I did not feel like I have a better song than that, but I definitely did feel like I had the itch to release it, and I mean this whole album in general, just because I think like it's been so long, one since I've released something, and I just been working on it for so long, you know. So when you've been sitting on something that you're really proud of, and it's not out yet, it can be like really like I was just really excited, you know. So I'm
And,
really glad that it's finally coming out.
and it's amazing that, you're excited for the album in the world now that everybody just wants to release a single and a TikTok hit. You know what I mean? But when it comes to working with a body of work that is an album, it's from track one to the last track of the album. It has to be some sort of a storytelling, right? Now, for this album that you're coming out with in February, that was for 3 years. That's 3 years worth of stories that, how were you able to tie that all together?
I mean, I think I figured it out like probably about halfway through writing it, like what this album was going to be, and I realized that I was writing a lot about past experiences and healing from those past experiences, and then also in the second half I was started to write about experiencing like a new perspective, a new love, opening up to like new joy. And it felt like there was kind of like a duality there. And I realized like I couldn't have one thing without the other and vice versa. So I realized that this album is very much about accepting loss in order to accept love. And I tried my best to chronologically explain kind of how that story goes. And I mean, it's called Love and Hyperbole. So I think I kind of start in the first half of the album with that hyperbole, with that like drama, that like, and, intensity. And then it kind of goes into the love and opening up to, the beautiful experiences that love can bring.
I mean, as a songwriter, to perform songs that speak of pain, that's sort of like therapeutic in a way. But as and then what's easier to perform? Is it the song of pain and happiness or happiness? I mean, what's the easier one to perform for you?
That's a good question. I mean, it depends on the day. I think if I'm feeling kind of sad and down, I mean, the songs that are kind of more about pain feel really therapeutic for me. But then if I'm just like in a good mood, I think that, it always lifts my spirits even more to like sing songs that are just happy when I'm feeling good. I feel like I perform them better because I can wear them better. So depends.
And was there ever a life changing moment that somebody famous or somebody that came up to you like, "Yo, your song has moved me. Your song has changed me."
Oh man, somebody famous? A bunch of people honestly have been so kind. The one that comes to mind right now is I remember I was at a party and Adele came up to me.
Wow.
Did you ask me if someone famous came up to me, or
Yeah,
did I?
yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Yeah, no, Adele came up to me and she like ran up to me and she was like, if you had been out when I was a kid, like I would have been like I wish I had somebody like you when I was growing up, which was so amazing because I was like, I had you when I was growing up, and you are one of my inspirations. So it was like such a crazy moment. I think she's one of the most amazing artists in the world, and hearing that from her was like, really? Wow, like that's crazy.
And in a way, it kind of went around full circle because, like, recently I just saw on TikTok that she went up to Celine Dion and she started crying, saying, right?
Yeah, I saw that video. That made me cry. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
From
because it
one
was so
Canadian girl to another. Well, of course, Adele's British, but
Mhm.
yeah, Celine. Now, for you, I mean, the success and the hits and everything. I mean, you are the very. Correct me if I'm wrong. The very first Canadian artist to win a Grammy, right? I
To
mean,
win, I think the best new artist Grammy specifically.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how did that feel early on in your career to get that? You know what I mean? Does it put a lot of pressure on you, or is it more of like, okay, that's cool. Let's put it in the corner. Let's keep on going.
I mean, it's funny because I didn't know that before I had won it, and I didn't know it like even when I was up on stage or anything like that. I only knew it after the fact, so I'm kind of glad that I didn't know it then because maybe I would have been more like nervous about that. But I think now that it's happened, I try really hard not to like compare anything that I do to that moment. Or to expect that moment again. I think that can kind of be the thief of great art when you're like over comparing yourself to yourself or like to an expectation. So I try really hard to just like be grateful for that moment and appreciate it, and also understand that if it never happens for me again,
Mhm.
that's okay. Still here and I'm making music that I love, and that's what should be the focus for me.
Is it like more of like knowing your whys, right? When you got started, like for you, when you were 13, when you were getting your music out there, when you were starting to make music, I mean, what was the reason? Who inspired you? Was it your mom, your dad, who was pushing you to make the music? And then it'd be like, daughter, when you get really, really famous, there'll be a time that you don't want to do this no more, but you have to keep on focusing on your whys. Was there ever something like that?
I mean, I guess a little bit. I mean, what in terms of like what got me started, I just always loved to do it. I loved it, and I was doing it like secretly, on my own before I told anybody about it. So I kind of just got myself started, not thinking that this was going to be an actual career for me. I never thought in my wildest dreams that it would actually happen. But I do remember my mom always kind of had an inkling that something would come of this. She didn't know to what extent, but she always said, like, I feel like this is what you're gonna do. And she's like, watch it, it's gonna happen, and just make sure that she kind of did give me a little bit of that advice, like just make sure you stay grounded and remember where you came from and things like that. But I never really believed her. Like I knew like I was gonna do it to some extent, but I just never thought it was gonna be like this. You don't think it's gonna happen to you.
It would I mean, this massive, as they do say, because we know you. I mean, here in the Philippines, we're hearing you. We're hearing you in the clubs. We're hearing the
No way.
songs in the clubs. You know what I mean? That's how big it is.
No way. That's so funny that it's in the club.
Just to take it a step further. I mean, like tracks like "Wild Things," "I'm Yours" from before that you released. Did you ever get to hear your song while you were going in the clubs with your friends? And how did that feel when you first heard your song in the club being played by a DJ, probably in a festival somewhere, and you were in the festival? You're like, that's me. Were you like that?
I have heard it a couple times. I mean, it would be funny if I heard my song here in the club because that's about like being at a party you don't want to be at. So I hope nobody's playing that at clubs. But I have heard "Stay," my song with Zed, a lot, and that's always such a trip. Like I hear a bunch of my music like in stores and in restaurants, but specifically in clubs, like, or when DJs are playing, it's always so funny because I'm like, oh my god, that's me. That's so weird to hear that. It still makes me laugh. It's crazy.
So, what will be the vibe of the new music that you're making, and also the album? Is it gonna be more of that whole kind of clubby feel, or is it more of I'm gonna sit down, long drive, and feel this out kind of feel?
I think definitely the latter. It's more of like a long drive kind of album. Or I mean, there's a bunch of different scenarios, but I wouldn't say it's a club album. I think it is more of kind of like a long drive, reflective, playing it in the house kind of vibe. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's an album about like self-reflection and love and loss and healing and joy. And I think it's like there's a lot to think about, and so I think it's best to kind of just like reflect on it. But I mean, hey, maybe if people want to play it in the club, I think that's fun too.
Eh,
Some
Take
remix.
it. Take it as it is. For those
Yeah.
who tuning in, Alessia Cara, she is joining us live from Canada. So, thank you for taking time just to have a conversation with your music. Now, with the vibe from Dead Man and October, you played it here, also here on the Monster. It had a bunch of requests. I think it made top 10, for the
Hey.
fans. Any chance you'll be here in the Philippines?
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That's amazing. Thank you guys for playing it. Um, I mean, yes, my personal plans, absolutely. I would love to go there. I've always loved the Philippines. The fans there have always been so kind and expressive to me. So definitely plans to come there. I don't know when, but I would absolutely love to, like for sure.
Have you on the show here, right? But here on the show as well, we do have some random fun questions. We call the show All Out. Now, from your career with everything that you've been doing, can you remember the first paycheck you've ever received? How much was it, and what did you buy with it?
First paycheck I've ever received in music or just
Yeah,
in.
in music.
Oh my God, I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. I mean, this doesn't really count, but I remember I made a bunch of tips. This was like the first time I ever got paid from doing music. I was like playing at a bar, and I made like $36 in tips, and I was like, "This is my big break moment." So that was the first time I remember like making money from music. But like in terms of like career, probably when I signed my record deal. But the $36 in tips was like my first, for me, my big break. I was like, I made it. This is this is my
It's like, Mama, call everybody. We
yeah,
gonna
call
work a night
everybody.
out.
The bills are
Right?
paid.
What did you buy with it? Can you remember? What was was that big purchase?
Honestly, I probably bought like, I don't even know, like a t-shirt or something. Like I remember buying like a lot of like graphic tees. Like I would go to the mall and just buy like a bunch of graphic tees. So I probably bought like a graphic tee. I must have been like 16, 15 or 16.
And then when you were starting out, who were you a big fan of? And then who was that person that you actually met that you were a big fan of? And how was that conversation like when you first met him?
Oh man, first really big person I ever met. Oh, who was the first person? I think you know what? I might have a list. I remember when I was younger, I wrote this list of like all the people I met. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Um, hold
Is it
on.
like Pharrell Williams? That'd be a cool. Have you ever That'd be a cool collaboration with the Black Eyed Peas, Pharrell Williams,
Oh
maybe.
my gosh, that'd be amazing. The Black Eyed Peas was the first album I ever got.
Mm.
The first album, like
Hey, for those who don't
CD.
know.
Yeah, for those who don't know. Oh man, I think I remember meeting Nile Rodgers
Mhm.
at this like TED Talk event. He was like one of the first people I ever met, and he was so nice to me. And I just remember his like cologne. He had like this really, really strong cologne scent. And to this day, when I smell it, I'm like, oh, that's what Nile Rodgers smells like. So probably him, which was really cool. He was like just very nice to me.
You're gonna get some of that bass line that he's doing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
so cool. He just like looks like a bass player. Like you just know he's a musician. Like he just
Yeah,
has that
yeah.
like look to
And
him.
that musky vibe of cologne that he got on,
Yeah.
like an old spice dude.
Yes, it really like you could smell him from like across the room. That's why I'll never forget the way he smelled. It was so good.
Now, if you weren't doing music, what would be something that you'd be doing now?
If I wasn't doing music, this is tough. And I think about this a lot because I don't know if I had a plan B necessarily, but if I try to think about it, I probably would have been like maybe a teacher or something in psychology. Like I've always been very interested in psychology, so maybe like a therapist or like a psychology teacher or working with kids or something like that. I can see myself doing that.
And also, what was that one advice that someone gave you when you were starting your career that up to now you still use, up to now that you carry with you in your journey?
Um, One time my manager, Chris Smith, sorry to put him on blast. He always makes fun of me for putting him on blast, but he told me in the beginning stages of my career, it's not the things that you say yes to that make your career. It's oftentimes the things you say no to, knowing what you're not. And choosing the no's are just as important as choosing the yeses, which I think is really important. And I've always kind of taken that into consideration and keeping my integrity and knowing what I'm not and knowing what I won't do, I think is just as important as knowing what I want to do. So that's always been very helpful for me.
Now, it's very challenging when you speak integrity because everybody will just, most of the artists nowadays will just jump on the next big trend. If it's
Mhm.
trending, let's get on it. But
Yeah.
deep down inside, you feel kind of empty when you're writing and you're hearing the music that you got to be doing. How do you, stay authentic when it comes to writing? Any tips for singer songwriters that are still trying to write that perfect song, but they're like, I gotta bend my lyrics, but then it's not so me, but it's making a hit. Everybody seems to like it, and they feel somehow empty inside.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it depends on what you want out of your career. I think, if you want like the big success, if you just want as many eyes as possible and it doesn't matter which eyes, then I think, do whatever it takes to get there and whatever. But for me, the reason that I didn't want to do that is because my intention was never to have as many eyes on me as possible. I mean, the idea of like massive fame scares me, to be honest. I think what I've always wanted to do is have credibility and integrity as an artist and have like the right listeners and the people that matter to me, and people that can just care about my music instead of just like having it kind of mindlessly in the background. So for me, I would say if you want that type of career, just don't compromise. There's a way to have simplicity in music and make it universal, but still make it feel like you. And if you kind of go to bed at night and you're like, something doesn't feel right about this, or like you were saying, if it feels kind of empty, I don't think it's worth it. Ultimately, if you're not after that like big massive success anyway, like I don't know, I just don't think it's worth it. And sometimes having big success, but trading that thing of who you are is just not worth it. And I'm so glad that I get to go to sleep at night knowing that I've done everything that I've wanted to do in the way that I've wanted to do it, and I never had to compromise my artistic integrity. That's way more fulfilling, even if you
Thank
have
you for
less
sharing
eyes.
that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. We really appreciate that. All the fans, all the songwriters out there, like, yeah, there's somebody still like us writing authentic songs. You know what I mean? And what was the greatest fulfillment you get from writing music? That's authentically you when you perform it in an audience.
I mean, I think it's the most fulfilling thing to, maybe be going through something and sometimes being a little bit afraid to share it, but then finally, pushing myself to open up and then seeing how impactful that is for other people. It makes your vulnerabilities feel like strengths, when you see how it connects with people and how like important it is to share those things. Because ultimately, I think it is a superpower to be able to say, like, this is what I'm going through as honestly as possible. Because then other people can see, like, oh, I am going through this thing too, and I'm not alone. I think there's so much strength in numbers, even if you don't have the answer, just having someone say, like, hey, I'm going through the same thing is just as powerful. So that's where I see the strength in it for sure.
Okay, biggest stage ever that you performed in when you were really, really nervous. What did you think about? What did you do to get over that, to get that strength, to face the numbers of millions of people? It could be Wembley, it could be a certain arena somewhere, it could be Madison Square Garden. Which was it? Was the biggest performance that you've ever done, and what did you do to get over it?
Oh man. Oh, there's been so many things that I've done that have just been so scary. I think, well, the first one that I can think of was when I performed with Taylor Swift. She had me on very early on in my career on stage with her, and there's 50,000 people there, and I was going from playing those little bar shows where I made the $36 to 50,000 people. So that was like petrifying. Um, I also played Rogers Stadium. I did like the Grey Cup, which is all around the same, like 50 to 80,000 people is always like, okay, this is petrifying. And I haven't played many of those, but the few that I have played are always so scary. And I mean, I think the thing that I do is just like I take like three big deep breaths and I try to remember that everybody there is not there to judge you. They're there to like see a show and have fun. And, you know, they're there because they love music and they want to be there. And that usually calms me down. It's like, okay, these people aren't judging me. They're just excited to be here, you know? So just try not to freak out. And that usually helps.
Uh-huh. What would be the song that you wish you wrote that you're hearing now? That you're like, oh, I wish I wrote that line or that song.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I would say right now, there's a song by McGee called Are You Looking Up? He's an amazing artist, and that song is so good. And I always listen to it. And I'm like, I wish I wrote that. And also Chaperone's Good Luck Babe. I love that,
Yeah.
that song. Yeah.
The big hit. You know, many of your fans who wish you could keep you more, but you know, many of your fans here in the Philippines, bearing to hear from you. We hope you could be here, but you have any message that you know for all your fans here and all over the world?
Yes. Well, I would say to my fans in the Philippines, I love you guys. You guys have been there since the very, very beginning. I'm so grateful that you guys are still listening to my music. Thank you to all the radio stations too for playing my song. Thanks to Monster for supporting me. And I would also say, mahal kita. I
All
learned
right.
that years ago.
Thank you very much. And lastly, my last question: your message to the world for anything that you want to get out there.
Message to the world. Oh man. What should I say? I should say, I mean, thanks to anyone in the world who's been supporting me in my music. And yeah, I don't know. I hope you're enjoying this next chapter. Enjoy the music, enjoy life, and we're all lucky to be on Earth, and I'm lucky to be here today with you guys. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for taking time. Can't wait to meet you here in Manila. And can't wait to see you live here on the show as well and interview you and get to know you more as far as music is concerned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's good for Alessia Cara. Oh, the album, when is it going to drop? And the singles, when is it going to drop?
Oh yes, yeah, that should be my other message to the world. Yes, my album Love and Hyperbole will be out on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
All right. That's something to look forward to. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, give it up for Alessia Cara. Thank you.
You.
Thank you very much. Take care. There you go, live from Canada. Once again, my name is Rico Robles. In behalf of Kayla Rivera, this has been another Monster exclusive interview.
Monster exclusive interview. Monster exclusive interview. Only from Manila's hottest. Monster RX 93.1.